So last week, by the grace of God, we were able to go through the various stages where we had a situation where Moses was introduced into the picture. We saw how Moses needed to be called by God and all that he has to go through so that the people of Israel will be able to live where they were. If I quite remember, we ended at a point where Moses had to take them right from the promised land, and then it got to the point where he was supposed to leave or to die, leave the scene, and let another person take over the leadership. So today we'll continue, but just before that, and to be very sure, okay. Why am I having a lot of, okay. Sorry, forgive me, but so just to continue from there, we ended last week. This is the screen showing.
No, please.
But it's showing that you have less showing.
So it's showing now.
It's showing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not showing.
I don't know why today it's becoming difficult to show. So we talked about Moses and everything concerning him and how he has to lead the people from Egypt. We talked about all those last week. So we got to the point, as I said, where we have to let Moses have to be leaving the scene for a new leader to take over. For a new leader to take over. And that new leader, okay, good. I think I can now see the screen now. Okay. So we talked about all the plagues, and then when they left Egypt, the various places, spots that they settled, we numbered them, outlined each of them, trying to understand everything on the road. We talked about the 10 Commandments, the tabernacle, and what are in the tabernacle, which are more examination questions. We talk about the priestly garment and how it's been formed. And then we went to the various offerings that they were supposed to offer, and then the festivals and seasons. So we ended there last week. So today we continue from the point where now they have gotten to the bank of the river, of the Jordan River, and they are supposed to cross. So what's going to happen to it to them now? As I said, this is the Old Testament survey, so we are going through all the story, everything in a very simple way. So as we go to the next, after taking the first 5 books of Moses, the next book that follows has to do with Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. So the story continues from there. But however, as we spoke about the law of Moses, the 5 books, we now enter the new era where we are going to the historic books, the historical books, and it's starting from Joshua. So as we say, out of the 39 books of the Old Testament, there are 12 books which are classified as the historic books. And they start from Joshua to Esther. And so we will just, this presentation, however, is on Joshua to root, then the rest will continue. So in Deuteronomy chapter 34, we get to see that the people of Israel, as they have left, they get to the edge of the promised land. And at this point, we see that Moses had disobeyed God by using his rock to hit the rock for water to pour down instead of pointing at it. So God has told him that he will not enter the promised land. So he comes to view it, and then God has promised him that he has to leave the mantle to Joshua. So Joshua takes over. So after the death of Moses, God calls on Joshua, and Joshua was the son of Nun. His father's name was Nun, N-U-N. Now, when you read the Bible, you see that Joshua was Moses' personal aide previously. He had been with Moses all this while. And then he was also part of those 12 spies who were asked to exploit the land. And he, together with Caleb, came back with good results that they can enter the land and conquer the people there. So we see Joshua now taking over from Moses. God had guaranteed that he's going to give them victory. So theirs were only to obey the laws of God. Once they obey the law of God, he will grant them victory. We get to see that he sends 2 men to go to the land, and then these men will even enter Jericho to go and view the land and come back with results. We hear a woman called Rahab, who happens to be in that city of Jericho, and decided to hide these spies. It is so remarkable that this Rahab was even able to see that God had given the Israelites victory. And so, miraculously, Israel still gained victory. However, Rahab and all her family were spared because of a promise they made. The spies made a promise to her that should she leave a thread, and this is it, hanging at the door or the wall of her house, when they come to destroy, plunder, or kill the people, they will leave her out. And so we see the sign there. So let's go continue. Now, the Israelites were still at the back of the Jordan River. They were just seeing the promised land. As we saw the last time, the promised land was just across, and these people were wasting time. Just wasting time and then giving all sorts of excuses. So God has to speak to him. God needed to speak to Joshua and then tell him that they should cross. It is so amazing that the people are here. This is the Jordan River. And then they had come here. Instead of just crossing this river, they were just here. And this is Jericho. So this is where Joshua sent them to go, the spies to go and look at. And this is where Rahab was living. So they should just cross and come to the land. This whole area is the land of the area of the Canaan, the region of Canaan. So instead of them crossing, they were still there. So God has to talk to him. And then how do they cross? He gave him his word that they should cross by a certain path. Who can tell us how they were asked to cross? Yes, anyone? Yes, Clement.
They crossed the river by the priest carrying the covenant box, stepping his legs first on the sea. Then the sea departed, so that they walked through the land in the river Jordan.
So, just as Osofo Clement said, they crossed it. The Ark of the Covenant was being carried by the priests. And as the priests stepped into the water, the flow of the river stopped and the Israelites crossed on the dry land. So it parted way for them to cross on a dry land. Now, they were supposed to pick 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan. Now, it's important for us to know that as the priest stepped into the water parted way. They moved to the middle of the water, of the river, stayed there for Israel, all the people of Israel, to come and cross. And that's how the crossing was done. Now, 12 people were asked to pick stones. And then they picked the stones. And these stones was used at the bank of the river as a memorial, a way to tell others that, yes, God allowed them cross the Jordan on bare land, on dry land. So as they crossed over, the people started eating the fruits of the land. And then it was after they have crossed to the land that the manna stopped. So if a question comes that when did the manna stop, it was when they had crossed the Jordan River to Canaan. As soon as they stepped foot on Canaan, manna stopped. And so they have to now eat from the produce of the land. So here we see that they perform the ritual of circumcision here in making sure that everyone is perfectly well. There came the issue of Jericho, that they needed to conquer that city. As we are told, the Lord just gave them a formula that after the spies have come to give their report that and then the land is ready for them to take over, the Lord told them to carry the Ark of the Covenant and march around it 7 times. So they go around each day, 1, 2, they come back. And then on the 7th one, they are supposed to march on it 7 times and then blow the trumpet. So they did that. And then on the 7th day, they marched around it 7 times and then they blew the trumpet. As soon as they blew the trumpet, the whole walls of Jericho just got broken. And then they entered, took over the land, and then destroyed all the inhabitants, but leaving Rahab and her family. It's important for us to know that Joshua's fame spread throughout the land, that he is a great warrior. However, there was a small city called Ar. I don't know whether this Ar is where we have been able to get artificial intelligence coming from. Because now we have this AI. These people were just a small town. God had told them that no one is supposed to take anything from the any religious thing, even from the battle at Jericho, because it was the Lord who was fighting for them. When they decided to take on Ar defeated them. Why? There was a man called Achan who had gone to take some of the religious artifacts or items from Jericho. He has hid it in his camp. And so when they went to the battle, they lost. And it was very disappointing that you have been able to defeat the whole Jericho, but you couldn't defeat them. So they came back, and the Lord said, as one of you have sinned. They searched, they asked, he didn't respond, and the Lot was cast, it fell on him. They searched his tent, they found the items, and they slaughtered all his family. Now they went back, and then they won the battle. So sin has a way of keeping us from victory in Christ Jesus. So as they defeated these people, the people of Gibeon visited the camp of the Israelites and disguised themselves, claiming to be travelers, and then requested to have a peace accord with them. What surprises me is that Joshua decided not to ask God. In fact, he did not inquire from God whether these people were genuine or not. And then went into treaty with them, peace accord with them, that they will not be destroyed. So the Gibeonites now stayed on the land. Instead of them being conquered, they were on the land because there has been a peace accord. At a point in time, 5 other kings around the area also decided to come and battle the Gibeonites. So the people of Israel have to go into their aid and then help them win the battle. It was that battle that we see Joshua commanding that the sun should stand still till he has defeated the enemies. And that moment, God listens, and the sun stood still. And then he defeated his enemies. Under Joshua, there was one thing that also happened. The Israelites continued to conquer. They really conquered the land and then took over the whole place. Mind you, the Gibeonites were there, and because of the peace accord, they were not conquered. And the major thing that happened after the conquering was the distribution of the land according to the tribes of Israel. So the map here shows us how the distribution was done. We have Asher here, tribe of Asher. We have Naphtali, and then Asher, their capital was Tar. Naphtali, Hazor. We have, even at the top here, we also had one of the prominent towns called Dan. Later we'll get to know much about that. This is Manasseh's portion. As I said, Manasseh was given a large portion because of the blessing of Jacob. We realize that when he was blessing the children of Joseph, he crushed and said that Manasseh will be big, even though he was the youngest. So you see all this portion, Manasseh, he had another portion here, the land distribution. Gad took here, Issachar was here, Zebulun is here. This is the Sea of Galilee. Then the tribe of Dan is also here. Ephraim took here. And in the tribe of Ephraim, that's where we have Bethel, the prominent city Bethel. The tribe of Benjamin was given here, and that is where we have Jerusalem. Simeon was far south. That's where we have the Beersheba. In between Simeon, in Simeon was Judah. So you can see how big Judah was. There is a Dead Sea, and this is for the tribe of Reuben. So when you go deep down, every tribe had a place to stay. So we see so many years of peace after they settled on the land. Then Joshua, when he was about to die, when he had grew old, decided to call the whole assembly and then address them that they should throw away all their foreign gods, refraining from intermarriage. And the people they intermarried were the Gibeonites. They should refrain from them and then serve God. And the provide statement he made, as for him and his house, they will serve the Lord. And so that was Joshua, and ended the era of Joshua. After the death of Joshua, there was no leader to take over Israel. Moses had led them, Joshua took over. After the death of Joshua, there was no one to take over. Sometimes we blame Joshua a little bit because we see Moses working with Joshua and eventually he taking over. But we didn't see Joshua working with anyone who would take over from him. However, it's God who decides who to take over from another person. So, though sometimes we blame him that he did not also have any succession plan, we also think that it might be God's own plan not to get someone to replace him. So after the death of Joshua, the tribe of Israel continued their conquest of the southern region of Canaan. However, they were unable to clear the whole land thoroughly. Part of the land they couldn't take. And it will surprise you that it was during the time of David that the whole land that the Lord really demarcated for the Israelites, they were able to take over. So it took a long time. So God was still their God, but these people were mixing up with those who were with them. So as generation passes on, younger ones take over. And what happened is that they turned away from God and started intermarrying with the Canaanites and worshiping their local gods or deities. So God threatened to abandon them because of their disobedience, especially from the younger generation. However, along the line, he decided to be selecting judges who will rule over them as temporal leaders. So that brings us to what the book of Judges is all about. Judges chapter 3, verse 7 to 15 give us something simple. There was a cycle that was happening during the time. So the people of Israel would do something evil in the sight of God. They forget everything about God, as we have said, and then turn away from God, called apostasy. Then the Lord will raise up his anger against them. And when he raised up his anger because of their disobedience, he handed them over to their enemies who will praise them in a form of a punishment. What usually happens in the book of Judges is that you see the Israelites crying to the Lord for redemption and deliverance. Then the Lord will raise up a judge who will go and fight for them in battle, win the battle in the name of God and for the people of Israel. Then there's deliverance. After that deliverance, the people will go back again. After some time, they'll go back again into the worshiping of idols and then turning away from God. Then God will hand them again to another nation. They will be under slavery. When they see that it is unbearable, they will cry to the Lord, meaning repentance. Then the Lord will go and deliver them again. Then it will happen again. So it kept on happening. The first judge of Israel was Ehud. Throughout the life of these judges, Israel's behavior followed the consistent pattern. As I said, they will do evil and then God will punish them. Now, Ehud was a left-handed man. And he was a left-handed man to be their deliverer. So they were under the nation of Moab. They were under slavery by the Moabites king. So Ehud visited the king and offered to give the king a secret message from God. When the king dismisses his attendants, Ehud draws a sword and then killed the king because he was using the left hand. The king's mind didn't come on because he was thinking if there will be any attack, it will come from the right hand. By the time the king realized, he has pierced through him and killed him. He escaped and then later gave the Israelites victory, set them free from the Moabites. Then we come to another woman prophetess called Deborah. Deborah emerged as a judge during a time when Israel has sinned again. And then they were being invaded by the northern army. So as she sat by the great tree, she calls for the people of Israel to get back to their God and try to bring them back to God. However, the Lord revealed to her that there's going to be victory. So she needed to contact Barak, and then they are supposed to defeat the Israelites. Sisera, who was the general commander at the time for the northern people, was a great commander that they all feared. So the Lord said that the next day, the prophecy was that the next day, Caesarea will die by the sword. And so Deborah gave the message to Barak. Barak said, no. If you don't go with me, I won't go to the battle. So because Barak said that, the message that came from the Lord was that Caesarea will be killed and victory will be given to the people of Israel so that they will be set free. However, a woman, she will die, but a woman will take the glory of the battle. And that glory will be the one who kills the opponent army officer. So it was almost clear that that means that Deborah was going to do that. As they went into the battle with 900 chariots, they realized that no, the opponent rather had 900 chariots. They realized that in their battle, the commander Caesarea ran away. And while she ran, he went so far and met a woman called Jael. Jael lured him to sleep and to whilst this man with him, Jael hammered a peg into his car. I don't know how that woman was able to do that, but it's purely despair. And then Caesarea died. So the victory of the battle, even though Barak was on the main battlefield, Deborah was with him. It went to another person, a woman called Jael. And that's how victory came. The people of Israel were set free, and then they lived. After that time, they sinned against God again, and God handed them over into the Midianites to be slaves there. Now, a man named Gideon also came into the scene. In fact, Gideon was a very humble man because he tears down his father's altar and responds to the angel's command. In fact, he was asked to do this after the angel appeared to him once he was trying to gather his wheat and then go to hide them, because the people, their opponent, the Midianites, could take everything, all their crops, all their water, everything that they bring out, they will take it. So he hid himself to at least prepare something. And that was when the angel appeared to him. He was bold enough to tell the angel that we don't trust you. And then asked him to wait for him to pay food. The angel waited. He went and came back. The long and short of it is that he was asked to go into battle. Few men were supposed to be chosen, and the method was that he takes them to the stream. Those who put their mouth into the stream to drink the water, you leave them. But those who fetch it upwards, drinking, still looking around whether the enemy is coming, you bring them along. And then they spy the enemies, camp at night. However, that night, the Midianites had a dream that a small loaf of bread was able to knock down a large Midianite tent. So he told them that the bull of Israel will be coming. In this case, one would think that then they will be preparing to meet them. So Gideon and his few men surrounded the camp. Now, because they were few, they were wondering how they were going to conquer them. So the Lord told them to break jars. And then with lights, and they were supposed to sound the trumpet. Now, as they sounded the trumpet and the jars were being broken, the noise that were being made the Midianites think that a strong army was coming. So they ran away, giving them easy access for the victory at the time. So they proclaimed that God alone is the ruler of Israel. And that ended Deborah's issue. There came Abimelech and Japhat. Now, these two have been put together because it's easier to go. So there was that widespread of the worship of Baal in Israel, or in the kingdom of the Israelites. So Gideon's son Abimelech, he says, as a violent 3-year-old, there's something missing. Okay. So Gideon's son, after the death, Gideon died, his son Abimelech decided to kill all his brothers. According to the Bible, there were 70 brothers by Gideon. Gideon really gave birth. One of them was a 3-year-old, so he left him. And then decided to kill the rest, slaughter all of them on one day, so that he will become the next king or the next judge. So we see that the anger of the Lord came upon him, and Japhat who was a son of a prostitute, took over the reign as the judge. So he was promised that if he remained faithful, he'll be victorious. And then he'll make it in life. Yes. Nature radio. Neniefi.
Papa, it seems we are not getting you clear.
Please give me just 1 minute, okay? I guess there's some visitors coming from Ashama. Just 1 minute. I'll be
Okay.
with you. I beg you.
Okay.
Papa, over the you Nyamishra Moy, you Wanyanishi. Yeah, hello, sorry, please forgive me. We just got people coming from Ashaman North District. Forgive me, I beg you. Beg you. So, where was I? He killed all. Sorry. Yes, so Gideon's son Abimelech tried to kill all his brothers so that he would take over as the next judge. Then he was able to do that, kill them on the one single day, kill all of them. But what happened is that a woman throws a milestone on him, on his head, and then he died. A simple way God will wipe you out. So as they were being pressured by the Ammonites, and then the Israelites turned from its worship of God and turned from worshiping of idols and started calling on God for a judge. So Japhet was given. And this Japhet was a son of a prostitute and was supposed to challenge the Ammonites. Now we get to see that this guy, because he was a son of a prostitute, was not regarded and respected. So he even left his people. Even though he was a skillful fighter, because he was not respected because the mother was a prostitute, he just left them. But when they need be, the people fell on asked God, and God said that he should be. So he came, and then the promise was that if you win the battle, you would let them be their judge. And so he took over. Now, this was the guy who promised God that if he's also victorious in his battle, whatever comes out first to meet him, he will, in the battle, when he was returning from the battle, he will give it to the Lord. And then what happened was that his only daughter, who was even a virgin, when he saw his daddy coming, because he has not been regarded and now had won a battle, meaning that he was going to rule, joyfully came out to meet the father. So though he lamented, he still went ahead to kill his virgin daughter as to fulfill the promise he has made to God. So those of you who made promises and then you want to change it, don't change it. Fulfill your promises to God. Then came in, he ruled. Then after him, Israel went back into sin. And so it was the up and down like that. Till another man came and called Samson. Sorry. At the time Samson was supposed to come to the pit, the Philistines were now oppressing the Israelites and taking control. So the angel of the Lord appears to a childless Israelite couple and promised them a son who will become Israel's next deliverer. Samson was that son, and he was supposed to be a Nazarene, a person who symbolizes his devotion to God, and then who does not cut his hair. So God blessed Samson with exceptional abilities. One day, he kills a lion with his bare hands. And then, when the parents have even told him that you have to marry an Israelite, Samson chose a Philistine woman to be his wife. Now, during the wedding, he goes home to give a riddle and tell that whoever will give a reward to whoever answers the riddle. And if no one is able to answer, they rather intend paying. Then he couldn't, no one was able to answer. Days went on, Then what happened? The wife that he went to pick came to deceive him that he should tell him that secret answer. He told the wife, and that wife went and revealed it to her countrymen. So Samson needed, out of anger, he goes home without his wife and then decided to capture 300 foxes, tie torches to each of them, each of their tails, and then decided to set the Philistine crops ablaze. So the field of the Philistines, whatever they have planted, Samson decided to set them ablaze. Yes, Jephthah really killed his daughter. No, she really killed the daughter, please. Faustina, like, she killed the daughter. Okay. So in anger, he was to destroy the whole field of the Philistines. And then they also pursue him. Then he continued to run, and then he fought back. Now, when the Philistines pursue something, the Israelites hand him over to his enemies. He's handed over to his enemies. Why? They didn't want to have any trouble with them because they have continued to tell him not to do that. So as he was handed over, so he just used the jawbone of a dead donkey, and then he killed 1,000 Philistines. Now the point is that being a Nazarene means that he's also supposed not to touch the carcass of an animal. But Samson, as usual, just go to do whatever he wants. And so then there's trouble. And that is something for you. The Samson story is so amazing because mostly men like that story so much. Okay. So hello. Am I on?
Hi, Papa. We can hear you.
Papa, we can
Yes,
hear
you are
you.
on.
Screen showing.
But the screen is not
No.
showing, Papa.
Just until.
Papa, you are on, but the screen is not showing.
Listen.
Is on another call. Please stay on the line or call back later. The number. Hello, Papa.
As of we want to see BBL. Yeah, that's Papa. Oh, yeah. Papa, Papa, no me timi ada wasi. Let me see. Me try to buy me some zoom here. Me try the name is me Zoom no tete. Me say me try the ba Zoom no tete. Sorry, Papa. Actually,